Are we on?
We are live. Everything's recording. Well, I don't know if we're live, but everything's recording. Maybe one day we'll do that if we have enough followers.
7 people can make a really good live show.
This is going to be an interesting show. We're talking about tech.
One of my favorite topics.
Yeah. Specifically like video and photography, right?
That is right.
Unless you want
yes.
to cover something else. I don't really know about
You-
any other things, but
I mean, we can talk about Tesla cars someday. I don't own one, but I've learned a lot about what's going on, and I love it.
you can teach me all about it.
We'll save that for the next one, though.
Yeah. For this one, let's talk about video and audio. Should I tell my audio story? I've got an audio story.
I think it's a great.
I
Yes.
Okay, I used to not pay attention. Hang on.
Wah, wah.
So I used to not really pay attention to audio. And then in my early 20s, I think I was still in school. I might have still been in college. I can't remember. But this guy hired me to shoot a weekend conference. And he had already sold a bunch of probably VHS tapes of the conference for people who couldn't go but wanted to see the presentations. And so I went to this conference for the weekend. I videotaped all of it, and I was getting an audio feed from a mixer, and I didn't listen to the levels. My levels looked fine,
Oh,
but I
no.
didn't actually listen to the audio. And it turns out I was getting a line feed, and I had my camera set to mic, so all of the audio was distorted for the entire
Oh.
weekend for this guy who had already pre-sold a bunch of these tapes. So that was the point when I really started focusing more on audio.
From that point on, you're like, we must do a live check.
Yes. Oh man. I tried to learn a lot more about audio at that point so I didn't screw things up again.
Well, that is a whole lot of not fun. I
Yeah.
think you've helped me learn a little bit about audio, but I, I just started adjusting my camera's audio settings.
Yeah.
I'd never even touched them. I'm like, what is? Oh, you can change that.
Right.
Look at that.
I know.
So that goes to show how much I know.
Yeah. No, it's audio is important. You can get away with a little bit of a bad picture, but you can't get away with bad audio.
Yeah,
That
that's what
just
I've heard.
takes you
Yep.
right out of it. Yeah.
And for me, I got a couple of these Rode mics. I forget, this is the Video Mic NTG. You have a lot
Is that
of
the
you.
small, like the
Yeah,
small
it's
road? Oh, okay. Yeah. That one. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
This guy,
That's a nice one.
um, USB-C,
Yeah.
phantom power, all the good stuff. So it works really well for vlogging. I picked up two because one of them died.
Really?
Well, one
Wow.
of mine died, and then I was going to film, and so I just bought another one, and then
Right.
sent the one that died back. So I have two,
Okay.
which is helpful because I can keep one like on the desk and then one in the next to the camera.
Yeah. I've got
So
I've got mics all over.
I was going to say, what is your favorite mic? Because you've got a ton of
Oh
mics.
man. So my favorite mic is the mic that I don't have yet.
Oh no.
I know. But for the ones that I actually have, if I'm filming on camera, I have a Sanken CS1 short shotgun microphone that I really like. They don't make them anymore. They make the
Oh.
CS1Es now, I think. And they make a really small version of it now that I would love to have because it's really light, which would be great
Mm.
on camera. And then I've got an Audix, I think it's SCX1, a hypercardioid small diaphragm microphone that I'll use for interviews,
Hmm.
like sit down interview stuff. Yeah. I've got some Rode Labs that I don't use that much, although I did just get the Rode Wireless Go 2s.
Mm,
which I'm pretty hyped about using for some YouTube videos.
nice.
Because these have little built-in mics,
Yeah,
and they record internally too.
you can't beat that. That's awesome.
So yeah, so if you have dropouts or whatever, you can have a safe backup, which
Is
is
it
nice.
removable? Is the media removable or is it just built in?
No, no, it's not. And the reason that it's not removable is because there is a company called Zaxcom, I believe, and they hold a patent
Oh,
for a wireless microphone system that you can also record internally to, but theirs is with removable media. And I think Rode got around that by making the media not removable.
unreal.
Yeah.
So they're like the letter of the patent. Well, they just skirt a few words and they're good.
That's right. What about recorders? Do you use recorders at all?
Um, I just got a few months ago when we were doing our film for people that don't know, Mike and I we recorded a short story. It was a Halloween horror short, and I got this guy. It's a Zoom H5 handy
Nice.
recorder. I did that so that I could record some of the sound effects like shovels digging in dirt and stuff like that. I've used it a couple times and it's great. It's really easy to use and sounds awesome.
Yeah, Zoom makes some good stuff. I have an F6.
Mm,
That's like my serious recorder.
right.
I was gonna buy a sound devices recorder, but then I got this one on a deal. So,
Ooh, yeah.
and the main thing about the F6 is that it records 32-bit float, which is like the audio equivalent of shooting raw,
Got it.
right?
So you have a lot of room to fix stuff if you need.
Right, you almost can't record too loud or too quiet. You can always fix it
Wow.
in post, which is incredible.
Magic.
Yeah. You know what I would
That's
like?
awesome.
What I would really like to have? I don't know if there's anything on your audio wish list, but I would love to have an ambisonic microphone.
So I
Uh,
have no clue what that even is. What is that?
so Sennheiser and Rode make them. They're little microphones. They have 4 capsules on them, and they basically record surround sound. People use them a lot for VR,
Uh,
and then afterwards you can kind of shape the microphone
got it.
and really mess with it a lot in post with yeah, just surround sound, stereo, that kind of stuff.
So you can um, decide which direction some of the sound is coming from
Right.
based on the different channels and that type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds really awesome.
It would be fun to play with. Maybe one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe one day.
Like there's a whole list of tech that would be just fun to play with and do, who knows what we'd be doing with it, but
Yeah.
just exploring it, seeing what it would do.
Exactly. That's what. Oh man, this is why I miss NAB.
Exactly.
I
Right.
used to go for a few years. I would go every year when I was
Uh,
not too far away from Las Vegas,
yeah,
and you could just get your hands on all of this new stuff and test it out and play with it, and sometimes talk to the people who made it.
that's even more cool.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe one day we'll be able to go to NAB again.
Yes. Someday soon.
Yeah.
Well, what was your first like serious camera gear kind of where did you start out at?
Oh man. I think the first one that the like that I owned or that I used.
Let's go with owned.
Owned was probably the one that I have now still is my GH5.
Yeah.
I had the old Panasonic GH1 for a while and I hacked it. So it recorded okay video.
Mm.
But usually either the school that I was at or the place I was working would have the serious gear.
Got it. Yeah.
So like the big Sony cameras or Canon C300s, stuff like that.
Yeah.
How about you?
I started with a Canon, so mine's more photography related, really. So I started with a Canon 5D Mark III, and I got it for one of my clients. We were doing some photos, and I did several photo shoots for clients with it. We even shot a couple of film things, film related stuff with it.
Yep.
So I got a 16 to 35 lens.
Nice.
And then I just started building out just a small kit, 70 to 200 lens, 85 millimeter.
Mm.
And this really got me into portrait work.
That's a nice
Um,
lens.
oh, I love the 85. It's even great for if you want to do like B-roll type situations,
Totally. What
stuff
is
like that.
that? What is that? Like a 1.8?
This is 1.4.
1.4. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so really, really awesome. And so, I started doing more photography. As you know, we did that little short story about doing some photography I
Hmm.
was doing with my daughter. I set up a little studio at home, the whole backdrop, studio lights. I Lighting has been an interesting story for me. So I
Oh
really
yeah.
went big into lighting. These are Profoto D2s.
Nice.
I've got two of these and two of their D1s. So I could really set up pretty much anything. I mean, I guess there are some setups with more than four lights, but
Not that
you're
many.
getting you're getting pretty
You're
fancy at
getting
that
crazy
point.
then. Yeah. Those are not continuous lights, right?
They are not. These
Those
are
are flat. Yeah.
flashes,
See, I know like nothing about flat using flashes.
right? And I still don't. And but I figured out how to make them fire off when I want to, and
Right.
that's been pretty good. But yeah, the whole world of light is like, I don't know. I think I'll always learn something.
Yeah.
So that got me into then as Canon. Well, so mirrorless came on, right?
Hmm.
And the 5D Mark III was still a DSLR mirrored system. Canon came out with the 5D Mark IV, but I never upgraded to that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to upgrade, and then they came out with their mirrorless finally,
Right.
their EOS R. And so that's what I'm actually filming on now. I jumped into that. I got their 51.2, which is a beast of a lens, just fantastic, especially at 1.2. Um, their glass has just been amazing.
Yeah. Canon is good. Canon
Yeah,
is probably my second favorite camera company, but I have a bit of a soft spot for Panasonic.
right.
I think because historically, like they were the first ones to come out with a little DV camera that would shoot 24 frames a second with
Oh,
drop frame, so you could shoot with little DV tapes and kind of make it filmy
got
looking.
it.
And then they were the first to come out with a GH5, which was the mirrorless that shot kind of a high codec, like a high
Ah,
end codec, a 422 10-bit codec internally, which was incredible.
right. Yeah.
Which is what I'm not shooting right now, but which is what I have right now, the GH5.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, but Canon color is good.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's so much that I need to learn about the film side of it. Like I've really scratched the surface on that. I haven't done a lot of shooting necessarily, or even editing. Color grading is like my biggest weakness, I think. Like, man, how do
It's
people
tough.
do this?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Well, then if you're shooting outside and you're not necessarily planning around a certain time of day, and then time passes and
Hmm.
you have a bunch of footage, but then your exposure has changed, or at least the light has changed.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, now I have to make all of this look not like I shot it at four different times of day.
Right.
Oh, great. Yeah.
It's why they film everything in LA because there's never any clouds.
Yeah, clearly, right? Like this makes so much sense. So, yeah, learning all the intricacies and how you've got to come up with solutions for all that stuff.
Yeah. It's man, you know what I wish? I wish these little mirrorless cameras would have built-in ND filters.
Ah, right.
That would be so nice.
Well, and that leads me to one of the things that I would love to have,
Yeah.
which is there's a new mirrorless cinema camera that Canon released, the C70, that
Yes.
has your built-in filters.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so nice. Those now that's RF mount, right?
It is RF
That's not
mount,
EF mount.
yeah.
Okay. So I
And
think
I think
that's
it's a
good.
Super 35.
Yeah. That's
The
a
thing
really
that's,
nice camera.
yeah. And one of the thing that's keeping me with Canon is I don't have like a massive lens collection.
Right.
I've got like, let's see, I've got like five lenses.
Okay.
And they're probably it's kind of the some of the most popular ones.
Yeah.
But like the ability to have a camera that I can shoot film if it's a specific cinema camera, and then if I wanted something for photography, but it has the same mount, is so nice because I don't have
Yeah.
to, if I was doing film and I got a different, let's say I went Sony, I'd have to get lenses for that aren't
Totally.
necessarily going to be compatible with a. So it just keeps people unless you've got like a huge budget, it keeps people into the same line. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Back in the day, you would invest in cameras. And now I think you invest in lenses
Exactly.
and you
Yeah.
swap out cameras. Yeah.
Yep. Well, because a lens can last you a decade easy or more,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You take care
Yeah.
of it, and
Totally.
it's gonna be just as good, really, as when you first bought it.
The lens I'm using right now on my GH5 is probably 40 years old.
Oh wow!
Yeah, maybe
So
maybe older. It's a Canon FD 24 millimeter 2.8.
tell me about this vintage lens.
So with the micro four thirds cameras before the new mirrorless like the Canon RF and the new Panasonics and Sony's came out, micro four thirds mount was the only one that had a short enough distance between the mount and the sensor that you could adapt older lens styles.
Ah,
And so when I found this out, a friend and I used to go to this camera swap meet in Pasadena that would happen. I think it still happens once. Well, it probably doesn't now because of COVID. But we used to go once a month. It would happen. And we'd get these old lenses. Like this is like a 50 1.4
oh wow!
Canon FD, and we would get these for like $20 to $40.
What?
Yeah, and some of them, like this one, the one I have on right now, like they're good. They look really good.
Yeah.
You could even use some of these for still photos, probably but for video for sure.
So
Um,
describe how they look. How is it different than maybe a newer lens? Like what do these older ones have?
a lot of them are heavier because they're
Okay.
they're all metal, so that's kind of a,
Ah,
a downer to some extent.
yeah.
Um, they a lot of these old FD ones kind of have a silver locking ring mechanism,
Okay. Yep.
and then you would put a little adapter on there for your different mount. And I think these will fit now on L mount, on RF mount. You can adapt these two, and then micro four thirds, of course. And there may be other ones, I'm not sure.
Wow.
Um, but it's I mean, it's nice. It's all manual.
Got it. Yeah.
So yeah, manual f stop and focus, which I prefer for video. But it's
I tell me, why do you prefer that manual versus automatic for video?
well, cameras are getting good enough now, I guess, that for focus you can run some autofocus for video, but for most of the history of cameras, you couldn't trust it.
Mm,
You couldn't trust autofocus. It would find something behind me and start focusing on that, and then switch back to my face maybe,
yeah.
and just kind of pump focus, and it might never find the focus that I wanted it to.
Exactly.
I think Canon's leading the pack with autofocus right
Yeah.
now, but the way I
So,
shoot video, I like to have like the viewfinder in my eye and a hand on the
mm,
focus ring. S-
Well, the cool thing about that is you can use focus as a creative expression where, let's say, you want to pan from something that's in the foreground but out of focus into something that is, in the distance but in focus. You could set that up a little easier than
Right.
trying to dodge autofocus or lock, and then hopefully it doesn't, you know, automatically go to something else.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see how when you get to that level where you're filming, manual is just the only way to go.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's not automatic. Autofocus is really nice for like vlogging or if you're
Mm,
shooting by yourself and you
yeah.
can trust your camera to focus on your face.
Hmm.
But
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
the I can't.
Right. Canon and Sony, I think, are really have got the whole face detection, eye detection down pretty well at this point.
Mm,
And I think, I mean, there's Sony seems like they come out with an amazing camera every other month,
yeah.
and their autofocus is just it's just fantastic.
Yeah, that is nice. Do you shoot with autofocus?
I do, especially well, if I'm vlogging or anything like that, it's just going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't even tried to shoot by myself on manual
With
focus.
manual focus. Okay.
So, because I'm like, oh no, well, what? I don't even know how I would do
Right.
that.
I was filming something a week or two ago and it was my camera was set up so it was filming me and my computer was in the background
Mm.
and I had it on continuous autofocus, but there was a face on my computer screen.
Oh no.
And I did like 5 takes. I think I finally got a decent one that I was almost happy with. So I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I pop in my card. I start editing the video. My camera kept focusing between my face and the face on my computer screen. I had to start totally over.
Oh man.
Yeah, switch to manual focus, but that's
Is
Panasonic for you.
Yeah. Well, is the depth of field not, I guess, if you shoot at a higher f-stop,
Yeah,
you won't have this scenario where, like, if you move your face, 6 inches, then now you're automatically out of focus, or you're moving out of focus.
right.
Is that how you handle that?
Yeah, I think so. So I'm shooting with a micro four thirds sensor on a 2.8 lens at 2.8 right now,
Oh,
and I've
okay.
got a pretty good. I've got maybe like 3 feet a
Okay.
depth of field because on micro four thirds sensor a 2.8 aperture is probably equivalent to like a 4,
Got it.
like on a full frame. So yeah, that's what I would do and just kind of try and focus close, or throw a
Nice.
monitor, an external monitor on it, and use that
Yeah. So you can see
to look at. Yeah.
all the fun stuff. Well, it took me forever to understand the whole triangle shutter speed, depth of
Yeah.
field or aperture, and ISO.
Yeah.
ISO.
Yeah.
I still don't really know what they all mean. I just know how to move the dials to make
Just
it do what I want.
to manipulate it. That's all you really need.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't need to know how or why it
Ex-
works.
right.
You just need to
Like,
know
oh,
how to get it
just
to
lower
look.
that a little bit. Oh, that's what I want. Yeah, right
That's
there.
right. Close enough. I mean, with some of these cameras, you really have to hit your exposure right for video anyway.
I think that's where I'm slightly failing.
Yeah.
So I guess I need to experiment a little bit with exposure settings. And plus, I think the thing that I keep discounting is the actual light outside or
Hmm.
inside,
Yeah.
and figuring out the balance between exposure and exactly the environment and the light I'm getting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That can be tough. That can be tough. I mean, there's some tricks. Some cameras have zebras. I don't know if you use zebras or have zebras in your camera at all.
I don't think so, unfortunately. I'd have
Okay.
to double check. I don't think the EOSR does.
Those are where you can kind of set up in your camera and you'll see little kind of stripy things on your screen when you hit a certain level of light. And the way I used to do it, and I still do it sometimes with my camera, is you set it to where you want your skin tones to be,
Mm,
or just at the top of your skin tones, and then you expose till you see a little bit of zebra on someone's face, and then
hmm.
you bring it down until that zebra goes away on the face.
Okay.
Either that, or I'll set the zebras to where I know the picture will blow out, and so that I know what's blown out and see if I'm okay with that or not.
For instance, the sky, like if
Exactly.
you're shooting outside. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd expose for the skin, but if the sky is going to be way blown out, you'll see if that's acceptable and
I'm
just roll with it.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
So I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes sense. If I explain that well.
I think I understand, but it's something I've got to work on a little more.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's tough. It took me a long time. And I'm still
Right.
not quite there. I still don't hit exposure all the time.
The ever elusive exposure.
Yeah. Oh man.
So let's talk about drones for a second.
Ooh, yes. I do not currently own a drone, but I think in the next few weeks I'm going to buy one.
I got this guy, which is the Mavic Air 2. Um, and it's been fantastic. I did crash it, and that was a fun experience. So it's been interesting to learn how to actually fly it, but very simple, very simple.
Yeah.
I got it so I could do more film of my my home build project.
Yeah. That's nice. They're so fun to fly.
So funny story.
Yeah.
They're cutting in a road next to where I'm building a house, my land,
Really? Okay.
and they're winding it around to the I think the Wakaiva State Park. So
Really?
from my side of the park, there's no way to actually get to the park, but it's like all it's my little development is right next to the park, but you have to
Mhm.
drive all the way around and down to get to it. So they're cutting in this road. They've done all the dirt work, so I'm like, I'm gonna actually fly my drone and see where this goes.
Nice.
So I'm like, this could be fun. And it's kind of in the middle of like 10,000 acres of forest or something like that.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a huge amount of
Massive.
space.
Yeah.
So I pulled off the road and parked where the entrance is, and they haven't paved it yet. They don't have any like gate or fence there. So I'm like, okay, well, this should be fine.
There's
You know, there's
no
no keep out sign.
no trespassing signs.
Exactly.
Not that that would stop us.
Well, you know. So I'm like, okay, I get the drone in the air, start flying, and everything's going great. You know, I'm just maybe like 150 feet above the road, following it. It bends around, and then I'm like, I'm going, and then all of a sudden, the controller's like, well, weak signal. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
okay, that's bad. Literally a second later, lost connection.
whoa.
I'm like, oh no.
What did it
And
do?
I wait 10 seconds. I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go get it.
Yeah. Oh man.
So I jump in the car, floor it down this dirt road, and luckily it was just hanging out. You know, I had like
Okay.
13 minutes of battery or something like that.
So did it just hover?
I think so. And then
Okay.
what it does, if it does lose signal, it will go back to where it thinks it started from.
Okay.
So it will go back to the home landing scenario or wherever you took off.
Right.
It tries to find that location. So it was doing that once I got there, and I couldn't see it still, but the controller regained connection. And so I see it, but I'm like, oh, you're really over the forest now. Like, there's no way. If it drops, it's gone.
Right.
But luckily, I'm like, okay. I pan around and then I see my car. I'm like, okay, head that way. It was pretty crazy.
Oh man, my best drone stories are from Africa. We took the Mavic 2, I think, on both of, or two of my Africa shoots, and there's no regulations where we were at,
Oh,
so we
nice.
got that thing up to 1,200 feet for some of our
Wow.
shots, which was really fun. And then the other part of it is that where we were at, we were pretty rural. A
Mm.
lot of these people had never seen a drone before,
Oh, no way.
and so the kids loved it.
I bet.
It took like 5 minutes as soon as we launched that thing, wherever we were, like suddenly we were surrounded by kids. It was so much
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So tell me, what kind of drone are you looking at? You're ready to get one.
I think I'm gonna buy the Mavic Air 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I would like a bigger one, but that one gets under the 250 gram
Ah,
threshold
okay.
issue, so I
Yeah.
don't have to have a license to fly it.
Got it.
And this is probably just going to be for like YouTube videos,
Yeah.
and I think that that's fine. Like I think the quality is fine for that.
It's been working well for me. They do have 4K, which is great. They just released a 2S, which has that 1 inch
Yeah,
sensor, like 20 megapixel
yeah.
photo. I think it shoots at like 5.6K or something like that.
That's gonna. A lot of people are gonna buy that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gonna fill like a huge hole.
Yeah. Because it's like you get some pro level stuff, but then it's not that pro level price.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean with the Mavic, it's so that's going to be better than the Mavic 2, which is what I think I was using last time. And we used
Yes.
that for PBS. I mean, that was we got past that. So you
I
can
mean, it's good.
you can use the
It's
prosumer level stuff for
totally,
pro
yes.
stuff, especially if you don't have a budget.
Yeah, yeah. So you're getting just one like what I have. This is the Mavic Air 2.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
I'm
a fantastic little drone.
looking
Yeah.
forward to it. Yeah. I'm going to have to get some NDs for it, I think.
Yes. You know what I got? I got they have a Fly More kit
Right.
or so, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Comes with 3 batteries and 3 ND filters.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
And
that's what I'll get.
I didn't have a case or anything for mine, so I got it just so I could get the case as well.
Right.
So I really didn't have anything.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to do that too. I've got so many bags though. I'm sure I'll find a bag. I've got bags
Yeah,
like all at my
exactly.
feet. I've got like 5 bags, like cases, all kinds of stuff. Just junk in it.
Uh-huh. Oh, you should see. Oh, like I've got my photography gear just in odd places everywhere.
Yeah.
And part of what I'm building is going to be a dedicated studio space.
It's gonna be so nice.
So I can set up all my lighting, all my gear, everything, and it just stays
Just
there.
leave it.
It just
Oh
it just stays.
man, that's not fair.
Oh
uh,
man.
I need that. These are goals. These are
Hopefully
goals. Yeah.
hopefully I'll get this building done before well, if it's not before I retire, then that's what I'll do when I retire.
Yeah. There you go.
It feels like it's going to take that
That's
long though.
right. Oh man, yeah, that would be
So,
nice.
what else are you looking for when it comes to gear? Like, what's on your wish list coming up?
Man, I think right now, if I could have something, it would probably be a Panasonic S1H,
Ooh, tell me about that
and
camera.
that's a full frame mirrorless camera that has L mount on it. That could be like the big brother to the GH5,
Mm,
which is my current workhorse.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it would pair well with it. It would work with some of my vintage lenses, so I wouldn't have to spend a ton. It's got really good internal recording, and you can record externally raw
Oh,
ProRes RAW, and I think Blackmagic RAW if you need to.
that's fantastic.
So yeah, I mean it's a workflow that I don't need for any of my projects right now,
Got it.
but
Yeah.
to have it as an option would be nice.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh,
What do you want the C70, don't you?
you know, I've now realized I need two flagship for me anyway, like cameras, workhorse cameras.
Right.
That's a better way to say it. I'd love to get just a film dedicated, like that C70 would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is it going to be like it's still small enough where I think you can vlog on it, and it does have a flippy screen, interestingly enough.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it does. So if so, that means, you can watch yourself.
That's
Um,
nice.
you
Yeah.
could do the one man film. So that would be great. And it would give me, I think um 4K 120,
Mhm.
which is great. You can get nice slow motion type of shots that way. It does not shoot raw, so they've separated that from their more expensive C300 Mark II
Right.
or whatever it is.
Right.
But, I don't really think I need raw. Like you said, is probably definitely for what I'm doing. I don't need it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I
and
mean, most people on YouTube are still watching HD at best, probably.
oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like moving up to just 4K would be
Yeah.
fantastic someday. But then I'm like, oh, the file size.
Yeah. Oh man.
So that's for film. For photography, I've really started taking to macro photography. So
Oh,
I've
nice.
had a macro lens for a good while now.
Yeah.
And I got it out recently and started doing some more photography with this lens, just finding odd bugs and caterpillars and crazy stuff outside because, now I'm like, nature's on my back door. So,
That's right.
and it's been so much fun to take photos of these things. So, Canon just released or announced a new 100 millimeter macro that has 1.4x magnification. This is a 1-to-1 magnification. So you could get 40% closer or bigger, I should say, with that lens and its RF mount. So my dream would be a Canon R5, which is a 45 megapixel stills photography situation
Right.
with that 100 millimeter new macro
Oh,
lens.
that would be so nice.
Yes.
I just started messing around with some video with. I didn't even know I had this
Oh my.
lens. This is a Canon FD. It's not made by Canon, so it's the glass is not great, but it's a 75 to 300.
Wow.
And it says macro on it. It's not really macro, but you can kind of get some close-up shots.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've been kind of itching to take this out to see if I can get some wildlife shots
Definitely. Oh
with
yeah.
this for video.
I've been toying with this idea that Canon also makes a 5x macro
Oh,
lens.
really?
They're like a grain of rice would take up basically the entire frame.
That's incredible.
But the reviews on this are kind of mixed because it's such a finicky lens. It's manual
Okay.
focus only, and the depth of field is so shallow that you really need to have some sort of setup where you can focus stack if you
Okay.
have any level of like a dimensional object that you're taking a photo of.
And doing that manually's got to be tough, right?
Exactly. So I just got a cheaper rail system that has the movements in, out, left, and right.
Okay.
So I can just dial in the movement of the camera because
Oh,
these are
right.
prime lenses.
Okay. So you fix the focus and you move the camera.
Exactly. That's the only way to do it. You just lock down your focus and then you slightly move the camera, and it will change. It will change the focus basically when you move the camera. You take another shot and then you stack it all together. I've never done this. So all of this is new to me.
Right.
Evidently the newer R5 has a focus stacking internal system
Oh, right. Okay.
that will let you do this automatically. You just set it up, you point it, you get your initial focus, and then you tell it focus all the way down to, I guess, infinity.
Right.
And it will take a shot every, I don't know how much, all the way down to that. And then you stack all of these photos, and your entire photos now in focus.
That's cool. It does that with autofocus though, I assume.
I don't see well, it would have to,
Yeah.
right? Because
Otherwise
it has to have
be
a motor.
moving the sensor.
Exactly. I don't think it's doing that.
Which it's probably not doing.
But if their macro is autofocus, or their 100mm macro is autofocus. So with this and an R5, it would do that. And with the new RF 100mm, it would do the same thing. So,
oh man,
because I want all of this to say, I've got this idea for a new photography project that I've been thinking about.
Tell me about it.
That I think would be really, really interesting. So I've done a lot of portraits of people, and I've been taking some shots of nature, and I like the up close because when you shredding those documents,
keep hitting it with my foot.
There's never a wrong time to shred things you don't want to live anymore. So when you take a photo of something that's super small, especially in nature, like the craziness of these creatures they're just insane. They look like aliens, basically.
Right.
So I'd like to combine these two things. I'd like to put alien looking bug heads on people's bodies and crazy stuff like this. Because in the way that I shoot, which is pretty moody, like low light cinematic feel, I really think I could go for that sci-fi kind of vibe.
I could see that, yeah.
And mix these two things together in like crazy scenes. So the way I'm thinking, you do the studio shoot with the person, and it could involve a wardrobe, it can involve a scene, it can involve all this stuff. And then you go get the shot of the grasshopper or caterpillar or ant or whatever it is. And this is the part where I have to figure this, how to effectively capture these creatures that are so small and get all of their head in a focus.
Can you do it while they're alive?
Exactly. And probably not, actually. So some people don't really care to kill the animal just to take a photo of it.
Right.
This is what I had to figure out, and perhaps I need this other equipment. It's a good excuse to buy more gear, I think.
Totally. And if you would like to donate to our gear, please feel free to get in contact with us.
Exactly. Yes. All major credit cards accepted.
That's right. That's cool. I'm looking forward to your alien macro person project.
Yes. I think it suits me very well. I want to get a little bit weird with the photography that I do, and that this checks a lot of boxes for that.
I like it. I'm actually trying to do mint and NTF of some of my photography work.
Oh, no way.
I did this set of what I'm going to call conceptual photography.
I like it.
A while ago, I did these long exposures while riding It's a Small World at Disneyland.
Oh, no way.
And so they're like these light paintings that turned out kind of weird in a good way.
Ooh, very cool.
And so I'm trying to mint my first NTF.
NFT. I think
that's right.
Yes.
I always forget. NTF rolls off the tongue better than NFT.
We'll do a follow-up episode about your first NFT. That would be fun.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's do that. Thanks for listening. For those of you who have gotten this far into the show, our tech
Thanks,
show,
Mom.
yeah, that we've been into, perhaps much more than the audience. But until next time, I am Mike.
I'm Stefan.
And that's The Bacon Show. All right.